It's time to crown utter calamity of the week, which goes to none other than Hunter Biden this week. I mean, he's such a calamity, but he's also making some pretty decent points because, a broken clock is right twice a day. But I had to have a friend come in to react to this explosive Hunter Biden interview. And today, we have none other than former White House press secretary, the host of the Sean Spicer show. He's also on the Naval Academy board. This man has like 1,000 jobs. He's on two-way. Welcome, our friend Sean Spicer. How are you doing, Sean?
Well, thanks for having me, Link. I luckily I was about to take an Ambien, and I don't know what stopped me, but I thought to myself, actually, you know what? Hunter Biden, the warning. I realized when he said that his dad's poor performance in that debate was because he took an Ambien. I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to stop taking Ambien before big moments, and I don't know why I would think that. I mean, but again, I appreciate Hunter's PSA on this because it just dawned on me that, you know what, had it not been for him, I would have taken an Ambien in the middle of the day right before a big interview. But I kind of owe it to him now. I want to thank him for alerting me to these things. That I always thought that Joe Biden just had lost it. His mental acuity was in decline. And now I realize, Link, and I don't know about you, but I don't know how I missed this. I thought to myself, you know what, one possibility is that he took an Ambien right before the debate. And I got to be honest with you. I know when to admit that I made a mistake. And I didn't see that. I ruled it out. And that's on me. That is on me. I should not have ruled it out.
No, admitting is the first step. I jumped to
conclusions. Look, I'm a big enough man. I jumped to conclusions. I thought, okay, he's in his 80s. It's probably mental decline. But then I heard Hunter and I thought, how did I miss the distinct possibility that right before a very large debate, you take an Ambien? On me.
No, when you look at the Biden family and everything they have going on, I feel like Ambien is quite innocuous. When you look at what Hunter was up to and some of the other family members, I feel like Ambien is fine, but we actually have a clip. Let's play the clip of the Ambien and then let's discuss it even more.
I know exactly what happened in that debate. He flew around the world, basically, and the mileage that he could have flown around the world 3 times. Yeah. He's 81 years old. He's tired as shit. They give him Ambien to be able to sleep. He gets up on the stage and he looks like he's a deer in the headlights.
I just want to know, was his doctor Conrad Murray, like with Michael Jackson and the propofol? Like, why are you giving him Ambien before the biggest moment of his career when he has to prove himself? Are you even buying this, Sean, on a real note? Are you buying this excuse or is this just some cooked up thing?
All right, you want the serious answer?
Yes.
Okay, so you saw this with President Trump, with President Biden, and all presidents. They do a physical, and during that physical, the White House will release key medical information, their resting heart rate, their cholesterol, and the drugs that they're on. We did that when I was press secretary for President Trump, and he continues to this day. That's normal. So on a very serious note, if the president of the United States is taking a prescription drug, and I know some people will say, what's the big deal? Why do you care? Well, because either they lied to us about his medical history and record, or Hunter's lying. Equal, I don't know. I mean, but I on a serious mental note. So that's number one. Why wasn't this ever disclosed? Because they do disclose all the drugs that they're on, and they'll explain them. He takes Ambien from time to time. I've had a prescription for Ambien for like 10 years. Now, I can't tell you the last time I took it, but if you ask for my medical history, they'd say, he's got active prescriptions for the following. Again, I can't tell you the last time I actually took it, but it would be part of my medical record that would be released. And they didn't. And so why? Secondly, to your point, and I know we were making fun of this, but like if you have a big day ahead of you, why would your doctor do that to you? Right? And I'm being serious. So again, if we just stop making fun for a second, which again, it's hard and it could last for hours. There are serious medical questions that aren't being asked because again, no one really wants to get to the answer, right? And that's the bigger problem here is that we continue to be gaslit and lied to, and yet it's like, no one has the interest because with I took first aid as a Boy Scout, so that's my entire medical training. Same. And I can ask serious medical questions that I think most people would ask. And yet not one reporter says what I just said, which is, how come you never disclosed this? Why would you do that on the day of? Right. So again, I get the messenger is Hunter Biden. But then at some point you have to say, okay, well, Hunter Biden gave this interview the other day and it was full of lies. I mean, that's what the media would say to me all the time is, oh, well, that was a lie and you misled and whatever. So either he's misleading, which is obviously very possible, and he's a massive liar, or there are bigger medical questions, but it's one of the two.
Well, I remember some of the messaging even before Kamala came into the race, when it was like Joe Biden versus President Trump in the primary, all of this, the messaging often was like, who do you want in the middle of a crisis? Do you want President Trump, who's reactive and who's hot-headed and this and that? Or do you want Joe Biden, who can get down to the Situation Room at 3 a.m. and handle a crisis? I don't think he could get down there at 3 a.m. in a crisis to the Situation Room if he's taking Ambien all the time, Sean. So I do think it's a medical issue that Joe Biden was basically non-compos mentis, and then they're giving him Ambien on a regular basis. If they're giving him Ambien before a big night like this, imagine what they're doing on the nights he has off that he's just chilling. I don't know, but it's pretty concerning.
But Link, hold on. Like, I don't want to just, I want to stop for a second and people understand the significance of what you're saying. If you're on Ambien and a decision happens, and again, with the President of the United States, you remember there was that famous Hillary Clinton ad at 2 a.m. phone call. And the President of the United States is on Ambien. And no, it's serious though. Like,
it is serious.
Honest
it is
to
very
God,
serious.
Mr. President,
the bullet.
there's a bombing, there's a natural incident, there's an issue that needs your, and he's on Ambien. Do you want him reacting? So, I know nobody wants to ask the tough questions because he's one of them. But there are serious medical questions. How often did you prescribe the Ambien? Because you don't want the President of the United States making a decision about national security or response when they're not able to make a decision. And frankly, no one is. So it's not even Joe Biden and his mental decline. If Donald Trump was taking Ambien 2 nights a week right now, you'd say, hey, we should make sure the vice president stays up on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And yet there's something after all of this that happened. The idea that the media doesn't, like, they're not even faking it. They're not even saying, God, we blew it. Jake Tapper just made a ton of money off lying that they, on his mental decline. And yet they still do it. Why? If you're a reporter, you go, gosh, we kind of got caught, like, faking it last cycle, that we pretended that we didn't know. And now you're doing it again and you're not even acting like you care.
No, absolutely. As soon as he brought up the Ambien, I just kept thinking about those pictures from a few weeks ago in the Situation Room when they were taking out the Iranian nuclear facilities, and you saw President Trump there with the hat on, and then, operation was at Midnight Hammer. And I was thinking, Joe Biden on Ambien, what the hell? Who was driving this ship? You know what I'm saying? Who was in charge? Probably these unelected bureaucrats like Anthony Bernal and the folks around Joe Biden and others who I hope get called in and don't plead the fifth and actually answer some questions, because it is a national security emergency, and they all lied and they obfuscated and they covered for him. And then, as someone who was the White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre would go out there and basically say the guy was this like spry whippersnapper who was doing cartwheels in private. She said I couldn't keep up with him. That was such a lie and was not the case. And us as taxpayers deserve to know the truth. So what do you think is going to even happen from this investigation into the auto pin that Comer is doing right now?
Well, as you may know, I testified in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee about the media role in this cover-up and kind of not just the reactive, but the prospective. Like, what can we do going forward? And one of the tells that I gave them is when someone deletes 440 hard passes of independent journalists, that should be a tell that they're trying to squash, any kind of dissenting voices in the newsroom. So here's my take on this. And I think some people with legal degrees probably disagree with me on this. But there is an ongoing pattern now. You mentioned Anthony Bernal, Joe Biden's work husband, the doctor, and others taking the fifth. And they're being asked very simple questions. Did Joe Biden pose the appropriate level of mental and physical fitness to uphold the office? Now, that's an easy question, to be honest with you, because if you ask me, like if I were a Biden staffer and you're not the doctor, that's a subjective question, right? I could easily say, absolutely, I think so. That's you're asking me my personal opinion. My opinion is, sure, blah, blah, blah. Why would you worry about going to jail for that? Like, what are you worried that like somehow like you're have some kind of Sarbanes-Oxley board of directors responsibility, that you have a legal culpability. I mean, like it doesn't. So I think we got to watch how many more people take the fifth. For example, Corinne Jean-Pierre, and I've suggested this to the committee, she should be called. She made comments you alluded to. In all seriousness, if you get up there and say Joe Biden runs circles around me, which is what she said, one, either you're lying, or two, she has serious health issues, right? I mean, if Joe Biden can run circles around you, Corinne Jean-Pierre, then you need to seek medical help now and get on like a MAHA routine. Get rid of the seed oils, the ultra-processed foods, red dyes. But you have a serious problem if you can have circles run around you. So
Right.
I would argue, and that's easy. You can't, like, how do you plead the fifth on that one? So my point is, I think that they need to think strategically about who they call and the progression of questions that are asked to that person to make it blatantly obvious that there is a greater cover up at hand.